Hello everyone and welcome back to the after party. I have to say I am loving your vision boards. We've been getting so many on Twitter, Instagram, on our emails, but guess what? We're going to give you till the end of the month. Keep sending them. And the winner is going to be featured on my website, and you're going to get a special little gift from me, a pair of ladybug slippers. So keep sending them, and whoever inspires us the most will be the winner. So send. This week's episode, I haven't seen it yet. Bravo's a little late getting into us, but I do know by the title it says roses are red, Dina is blue. I think it talks about Valentine's Day, which is not my favorite holiday, and that's what I was talking about when they referenced that voiceover once. I've never had a nice Valentine's Day. Actually, my husband did ask me to marry him on Valentine's Day 9 years ago, but I wasn't with him for the first part of the night. He showed up at like 4 a.m. and asked me to marry him. So it was actually the 15th when he asked me to marry him.
So is 4 a.m. considered still part of the night?
Well, no, 'cause that's why I said it was the next day.
Yeah.
We were broken up, and he was on a date, I was on a date, and then he showed up and asked me to marry him. So that's pretty bizarre. But I think that's what this episode kind of references, my relationship. And, you know, I see both of you girls and have seen you through this process of separation. You certainly helped me a lot, but my biggest confusion was I wasn't in any rush, because I've learned by practicing what I practice and soul searching that I stopped looking for external things to make me happy, and I realized that happiness lies within. So I don't rely on a man, you know, a job or whatever to give me my happiness. I realized that you could only get it from yourself. So it's very different than my first divorce, where I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I'm miserable. I mean, this divorce, although the situation is not perfect, I'm still able to maintain my happiness. So I was kind of confused, like, well, why do I have to rush? And why do I have to file? I mean, I'm happy.
Right.
It just, the situation is not. So what was your advice to me during these times?
Well, part of it is the first thing that we did, and I think this is helpful for those who are watching as well, is we figured out what was your downloaded blueprint around love and marriage. And just what you saw, what was going on within your own family of origin. Your dad worked a lot. There was all of these similarities that, and I don't know if it's actually in this episode or not, I guess we'll see, but that you really had this aha moment of, wow, this is why this relationship with Tommy and the things that were frustrating to you, but why it was normal to you.
Yeah.
It seemed
and
like
it gives
this
you a
is
sense
marriage.
of comfort.
Yes.
Even if it's not perfect, there's that comfort there because it's what you know.
Right. There's familiarity. So what we ended up doing was looking at those downloaded blueprints so you can understand where it came from. And all of you have downloaded blueprints as well, trust me. And then we started looking at what you wanted it to be. What was missing? What part were you unsatisfied with?
And also the big thing for me is that it's okay to change it. Even though your parents had and my parents had a very good relationship. I mean, they've just been married now 60 years, but it was 11 kids in 60 years.
Wow.
It was very different than the trouble that Tommy and I had in our relationship, but it was very much the same, where my dad always worked and was, you know, at work a lot, and my mom was home, just like Tommy is never around, and I'm home alone and celebrated Valentine's Day alone. Actually, my dad got flowers and chocolate every Valentine's Day. But anyway, I learned that I wasn't disappointing my parents if I did something different.
Right, but that's a really good point to make, because a lot of times unconsciously we're afraid to do better than our parents, quote unquote, like as if it's disloyal, or as if you would be saying you're doing it better than them. But
actually, what you did was wrong, and
right.
This is the way I'm going to do it.
So. Right, but a lot of this stuff is unconscious, though, which is where the therapy piece comes in, where we brought that unconscious fear into the light, so then you could make that decision to make a change, knowing your parents would be supportive of your happiness.
And they are, and it's so ridiculous. After you uncovered that for me, I sat them down, and I'm like. I want to know from your mouth it's okay that I do something different, as like it brings me back to a little girl that I felt like I wanted them, because my parents are everything to me and I never want to disappoint them. Still now at 42 years old I don't. And they were like, are you kidding me? I want you to be happy, and that's what his parents want. So it's kind of silly when you really think about it, but it's a subconscious thing.
Of course. And so what I'm going to give to you guys this week is a downloaded blueprint around love, and all of you can figure it out, fill it out, and start seeing the patterns in your own life. If you have frustration in your romantic relationship, you'll start to see where that came from.
And actually, my story, well, I think the thing that was blocking me from truly finding my husband and ultimately manifesting love was a fear of trusting men, because when I was 5 years old, I evidently told my mother that I would get married, but I would always have my own money. And she says, well, why, honey? And I said, well, because I need to be able to leave if I need to. And the reality of that is that my 5-year-old, at 5 I said this, can you believe it? Like, at 5 I was seeing my mother unhappy in her marriage, and I mean, look, my mother and father today are still together. They're happily married because they've done tons of therapy and they've really worked on their relationship. And I know now that we make choices. We make choices to stay in relationships. We make choices to set boundaries in relationships and actually make relationships happy ones for ourselves or not. But my mother wasn't really doing that back then, and she felt trapped. And as a 5-year-old, I saw that. And what I made that mean was, don't get married. And so what I was in a pattern of doing was attracting these non-committal guys because I was in fact non-committal. I was scared to death of marriage. So I did a lot of energy work on that, and I was able to open my heart and attract my husband as a result in just a few months, actually. So what I'm going to give you guys is a energy clearing exercise that really contains a lot of the blocks that I find most of my clients have, and has to do with trusting the opposite sex or trusting a partner, opening your heart, having it be safe to give and receive love. So they're all the ones I find most commonly people have blocks with, so that you can clear those energetically in your body, so that you're not having a central nervous system freak out.
So it's an
to
energy.
love.
It's more of an energy thing, and it's going to attract who you're supposed to be with, that you can grow together.
And so the thing to do would be to do her blueprint first, and then come on over to my site and then do the energy clearing around it, because that is going to bring up some fears and some emotions, and then you can clear it in your system. So it'll be an awesome little combo.
What a dynamic duo.
1-2 punch for your love life.
All right. Well, we have lots more to talk about. I hope you join us next week, and we'll touch on whatever was on this episode that I don't know about yet. And I'm sure there's a lot more coming from my divorce on episodes to come. We have a lot more sessions together.
We do.
And so do we.
And don't forget to send in your vision boards. You still have time. You have 2 more weeks, and they're so gorgeous, and we are loving them, and you are inspiring us. So please send them.
And make sure you reference underneath last week's video. Use what these girls gave you, because it takes it to a whole nother level.
Yes, please.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.